I was fortunate enough to get a buggy ride from Hanover into Gettysburg, and I found the Second Corps Field Hospital. The smell was incredible. And it was such an incredibly sad sight, but they tried to keep regiments together, and so Patrick was there with other boys of the 82nd, and although they were very weak and tired and hungry, they were in good spirits, because they knew that the 3 days battle that they just had was a big change in the way the war had been going up to this point. The South was on the run, heading back, the Confederates were heading back south, and they know that on July 4th, General Grant won a great victory out in Vicksburg. So the boys' spirits they were elated. I couldn't stay long, so I made my way back to New York City, and I told the family that Patrick was weak. He would be coming home crippled because he lost his one leg, but he would finally be coming home. However, infection set in his second leg, and it had to be amputated. And on July 10th, at 1:40 in the afternoon, my Pat passed away. Let me read to you from the Second Corps Field Hospital. First Sergeant Patrick Ferrington, Company G, 82nd New York, shot in the legs on July 2nd. Legs amputated. Died July 10th, buried in the Schwartz cornfield near a walnut tree. Isn't that an interesting little note to put in there? Buried near a walnut tree. There are hundreds and hundreds of accounts here of where the soldiers are buried, and almost all of them are buried in a field or buried in a cornfield. But this says not only that he's buried in a cornfield, but beside a walnut tree. It then goes on to say he was reinterred into the New York plot number D24. This is an incredibly sad loss for our family, but I can actually walk up and look down and see a marker that says P. Ferrington, 2nd Regiment. Do you know how rare that is for many of the families of the Civil War soldiers? Most of them have no idea where their sons are buried or their loved ones are buried. They may know that they died at the Battle of Antietam, but they have no idea where they're buried. They may not even know they died in a battle. There were some that at the end of the war's over, there's cheering in the streets, and people are waiting for their loved one to come home, and they don't come home. And they're saying, well, maybe they were wounded. Maybe they had a leg amputated, and it's very difficult for them to come home. Or maybe he has a head wound, and he doesn't know who he is. Or some of the dreamers thought, maybe he met a nice girl, and they've gone off to California. And someday I'm going to see California grandchildren coming to visit. For our family, we know where Patrick is, and that's a comfort to us. But what is a greater comfort to us is knowing that more than 150 years after Patrick's death, my great-great-grandson will stand before a wonderful group of people, and they will spend a little time remembering my son, Patrick Ferrington. And for that, I thank you all very much.
Mr. Ferrington, there is a gentleman here that would like to speak to you. May I ask you all to stand for General Ulysses S. Grant?
Good day, sir.
Good day.
Mr. Ferrington, how are you, sir?
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm here in tribute to a fine soldier, and when I understood his father was here today, I thought that representing the Army, I could come here and offer a few words and thank you for his service and offer my condolences for his loss, because soldiers like Patrick Ferrington aren't born without a mission, and he lived his life to that mission. As an immigrant, and patriotic immigrant at that, he set a fine example, and it's unfortunate that he was lost to us as he was. But General Meade is unavailable today, and Hancock, whom he served under in the Second Corps, also sent condolences as well and asked me on behalf of the Army and the government to recognize that and offer our appreciation
Thank you.
to you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Oh, please have a seat.
Thank you, General.
Sorry about that, but
Thanks.
so if there's anything else the government can do in support of that, please let me know or let us know through channels, and I'll do what I can in my position to support him.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for coming. We're here to honor Sergeant Patrick Ferrington, a fallen hero here at the Battle of Gettysburg, who died on this date, July 10th in 1863. We're here with a descendant of his who will give you more appropriate remarks about him, but on behalf of the United States Army and the Army of the Potomac, we wish to recognize his sacrifice, giving that last full measure of devotion for his cause and his country.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for attending today. Pat was only 6 years old when he came to America, and 11 years later, when the Civil War started, he joined primarily for the money that he would be able to send home to his very poor Irish family. And as a descendant of that family, it's incredibly important to me to the great sacrifice that Patrick did. And I just have to say it's incredibly important to our family that so many of you showed up today. This means a great deal to us, so thank you very much.
So at this point, if anybody has any flowers or anything they wish to bring forward to place, you're invited to do so. Bugler, sound taps.
The baby being held here is my mother. She's only a year old. This is 1929. She's 86 now. This is my grandmother. This is my great-grandmother. In the middle is my great-great-grandmother, Mary Quinn. Mary Ferrington is her maiden name. This is Patrick's sister. This is the woman that Patrick sends his letters to. So this is my direct lineage back. This are my grandsons, my son, me, and my mother, the baby in this picture. So in these two pictures, we have 7 generations leading back to the Civil War. Is that not neat?
Wow.
Are there any questions?
What a wonderful heritage you have.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing it with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.